A nurse's dance captivates a CEO love sparks in an unexpected moment. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Stories TH. Today, we've got a heartwarming story about a nurse and a millionaire CEO, full of surprises you won't want to miss. But fair warning, you might catch yourself smiling more than once. If you love stories that touch the heart, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out. Also, drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. I love seeing how global our little community is. So, get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's dive into this amazing story together. The midnight watch was supposed to be a routine affair, but for Alexander Cole, the CEO of Charleston Grace Medical Center, it had become an unexpected refuge. The board meetings had dragged late into the night, pressure from donors mounted like an endless tide, and a troubling email from his brother about a major donor pulling out had sent ripples of uncertainty through his mind. So here he was in the dimly lit security office, eyes flickering between the glow of multiple monitors, restless and awake far beyond his usual hours. The hospital around him was silent, the usual hum of life and urgent footsteps replaced by an eerie quiet. The glow of the monitors cast blue shadows across the room as Alexander leaned back in his chair, his crisp suit still immaculate despite the late hour. His mind raced, juggling numbers, strategies, and people, most of them faceless figures in a world ruled by spreadsheets and profit margins. But amid this sterile, controlled chaos, something caught his eye. On one of the hallway cameras near the East Wing, a young woman moved with an energy that seemed out of place in the stillness. She was alone, headphones in, and to Alexander's surprise, she was dancing. The motion was uncoordinated, yet full of joy, a solitary celebration in a place where joy was scarce. Her loose brown hair bounced in a messy bun, her oversized blue scrubs hung awkwardly on her slender frame, and white sneakers scuffed from long hours clicked lightly on the polished floor. Alexander watched, mesmerized by her unapologetic movements, the way she spun a roll of gauze like a ribbon, the playful finger-pointing reminiscent of a 90s music video, the lightness that escaped her in laughter. It was as if she was invisible, dancing not for an audience, but for herself alone, a small rebellion against the weight of the hospital's unyielding demands. For the first time in weeks, Alexander felt a flicker of something unfamiliar inside his chest, an ember of warmth in a heart hardened by relentless business battles. He reached to turn up the volume on the security feed, hoping to catch the music that fueled her dance, but silence greeted him. No soundtrack, just the quiet grace of a woman who had chosen to dance despite it all. When she stopped abruptly, straightened her posture, checked her watch, and slipped away down the hallway, the spell was broken. Alexander closed the laptop slowly, but the image of that dance lingered in his mind like a whispered secret. According to the nurse schedule on his tablet, her name was Mia Thompson, a third-shift nurse in recovery, no accolades, no reprimands, just a ghost in the system. Perhaps that was why she stood out. She wasn't trying to be seen, yet she had captured his attention in a way that no board report ever could. Meanwhile, on the third floor, Mia was wiping down a tray table when her favorite, no-nonsense head nurse, Tammy, peeked in. "Girl, you out here twirling like nobody's business," Tammy whispered with a raised eyebrow. Mia's face flushed a deep red. "Please tell me you didn't see that," she muttered. Tammy smirked. "No need. Security called asking what soundtrack to add." I told them Earth, Wind, and Fire. The laughter that followed was a brief escape from the constant pressure, the endless rotations, the crushing fatigue, the feeling of being invisible in a system that only noticed when something went wrong. Mia confessed, "Sometimes I just need to breathe. You ever feel like you're disappearing, giving everything, but still floating through people like a ghost?" Tammy's eyes softened. "Every damn day, sugar." Tammy admitted she sang to bedpans when no one watched, and the two shared a rare moment of levity in a demanding world. "You're good at this, Mia," Tammy said quietly. "They don't put that on the clipboard, but we see it." Despite the exhaustion, the thankless shifts, and management emails about parking validation that did nothing for morale, Mia clung to the tiny acts of care that made the difference. But tension was building. Rumors swirled of cuts, planned by the board, whispers of dwindling supplies and growing demands. The CEO's been watching the building more closely, Tammy revealed. He walked in like he owned the air. They say he's planning cut supplies, not speeches. Somewhere in the quiet halls, a baby cried, a machine beeped, and Tammy leaned close, voice low. You got more power than you think, Mia. People watch those who don't try to be seen. Mia raised an eyebrow, half smiling. That's poetic. You saving that for your memoir? Tammy grinned, already titled it, How to Survive Healthcare Without Killing Nobody. But Mia felt anything but powerful. She felt like a placeholder, a cog in a machine that only noticed her when she slipped or worked overtime. Her dance had been her rebellion, a private protest to remind herself she was still alive until someone finally watched. Back in the boardroom, Alexander sat alone, the morning sunlight filtering through glass walls, the echoes of the dance still vivid in his mind. The board chairwoman, Eleanor Marsh, pressed for tighter images, cleaner stories for donors. Alexander pushed back, sharing the moment he saw Mia dance. It reminded me what we've forgotten, people, not just numbers. Eleanor, managing the hospital's legacy, urged him to stick to roles, but Alexander stood firm. Sometimes you need to listen to the hallway, not just the top floor. The door closed quietly behind her, and Alexander remained seated, haunted by the vision of Mia's unapologetic joy. What did it cost her to feel that for a minute? Long shifts, doubles back to back, no time to breathe or dance. Yet the story was spreading. Staff whispered about the nurse who spilled coffee on the CEO and lived to tell the tale. Kayla, a younger nurse, joked about Mia becoming morale coordinator, but Mia wasn't laughing. She hid away in the supply closet, trembling at the thought that the most powerful man in the building now saw her not as a nurse, but as a woman, dancing to keep from breaking. Please let this blow over, she whispered. But outside, the story was only beginning. The morning light filtered softly through the blinds of Charleston Grace Medical Center as Mia Thompson took a deep breath, trying to shake the lingering anxiety from the night before. Her hands trembled slightly, still holding the weight of the coffee tray that had toppled in the executive wing, drenching Alexander Cole in dark liquid and leaving the boardroom in stunned silence. That moment, she told herself, had felt like the worst professional blunder imaginable. A disaster carefully choreographed in slow motion, and yet somehow, Alexander's unexpected humor had shifted the atmosphere entirely. He didn't scold her. He didn't demand apologies beyond the quick, "I'm sorry." Instead, his voice had broken the tension with a joke about hating bitter coffee, and the room had burst into nervous laughter. It was a small moment, but for Mia, it marked the beginning of something profound. A crack in the polished veneer of the hospital's leadership, revealing a humanity that few saw. Despite that, the nerves hadn't faded. She worried about what came next. The email from Alexander requesting a meeting had her heart pounding in her chest. Quick follow-up, the subject read. She'd read it over and over, each time the words stirring a mix of hope and fear. What did he want from her? Was it praise, a reprimand, or something more? As Mia hurried through her shift, the whispers around the hospital followed her like a shadow. The grapevine worked overtime. Tales of the coffee spill, Alexander's laughter, his kindness. Staff she barely knew offered knowing glances and quiet nods. Even Tammy, ever the steady presence, gave a soft smile that seemed to say, "You're not alone in this." But with attention came scrutiny. Mia found herself under a spotlight that felt uncomfortable. The quiet joy of her hallway dances had transformed into a symbol, one she hadn't asked for and wasn't sure she wanted. The weight of expectations pressed down, and she struggled to reconcile the nurse who danced when no one watched with the woman now invited into boardrooms and executive meetings. Alexander Cole, meanwhile, wrestled with his own thoughts. He was a man shaped by power, driven by responsibility, but Mia's dance had stirred something long buried, a reminder of why he'd chosen this path beyond profits and politics. Watching her reminded him of the raw humanity often lost in the shadows of corporate strategy and donor presentations. When the meeting finally arrived, Mia stepped into the sleek, glass-walled conference room with a mixture of apprehension and determination. Alexander greeted her warmly, but with his usual measured composure. "Thank you for coming," he said. I've been reviewing reports and feedback from the floor, and I believe your insight could help us change how we care for our patients. The role he offered wasn't ceremonial. It was a real chance to bridge the gap between leadership and frontline staff, to bring truth to decision-making. But the transition wasn't easy. Mia faced the cold reality of office politics and rivalry, embodied in Victoria Hale, the sharp, polished director of surgical services. Victoria's ambitions and carefully crafted presentations threatened to overshadow Mia's raw authenticity. In a critical meeting, Mia challenged Victoria's plans to reduce nursing hours in preoperative and recovery units, emphasizing the importance of emotional support and patient care beyond the numbers on charts. Her voice was steady, but the room was charged with tension. Victoria's polite dismissal and Alexander's intervention to maintain order highlighted the delicate balance Mia had to navigate between speaking truth and preserving her position. Outside the meeting, Mia grappled with feelings of isolation. The familiar hallways of the hospital, once her sanctuary, now seemed cold and distant. Tammy's presence was a balm, reminding her that courage was messy, but necessary. "Truth leaves you messy before it frees you," Tammy said gently. As the days passed, the connection between Mia and Alexander deepened beyond professional boundaries. Quiet moments in the hospital garden and shared lunches offered glimpses of vulnerability beneath their roles. Mia learned of Alexander's own struggles, the loneliness behind the power, the sacrifices made in pursuit of control. He envied her ability to find joy in small moments, to dance alone in a hallway when the world felt overwhelming. Their conversations often returned to that dance, a metaphor for resilience and identity. Mia's confession that dancing was how she remembered she was still real resonated with Alexander, who admitted he had lost touch with his own sense of self amid the endless battles. But the world they inhabited was complicated. Victoria's presence, the pressures of leadership, and the cautious whispers among staff reminded Mia that progress came at a cost. She was becoming a symbol, a figurehead for change, and the path ahead was uncertain. The hospital's annual gala brought these tensions into sharp focus. Mia, stepping into an unfamiliar world of donors and socialites, felt both out of place and deeply seen. Alexander's presence at her side, relaxed and genuine, contrasted sharply with the formal atmosphere, bridging the gap between two disparate worlds. When a video montage featuring the security footage of Mia's dance played to the gala audience, the room fell silent. The unfiltered joy and vulnerability captured in that moment touched everyone present, reminding them of the heart behind the hospital's mission. Afterward, Mia confronted Alexander about the decision to share her image without warning. The conversation laid bare the complexities of visibility, privacy, and leadership. Alexander's insistence that the world needed to see the authentic care happening behind the scenes challenged Mia to embrace her role as a catalyst for change. Yet even as their relationship blossomed, shadows lingered. Rumors and professional rivalries tested their trust. Mia grappled with fears of losing herself in the corporate machinery, while Alexander struggled to balance his personal feelings with his responsibilities. Through it all, the dance remained a symbol, a reminder that even in the most structured, demanding environments, moments of freedom and joy could spark transformation. In the quiet moments before a critical staff forum, Mia held a letter from a patient's family, a testament to the impact of her compassion. Reading the words aloud, she reminded her colleagues why they had chosen this demanding work: to bring dignity, comfort, and hope to those who needed it most. As applause filled the room, Alexander watched from the sidelines, proud yet aware of the challenges ahead. Their journey was just beginning, a dance of trust, courage, and change amid the complicated rhythms of power and care. The days that followed the staff forum were charged with a new energy, one that Mia Thompson had never experienced before. She was no longer just a nurse on the night shift, a quiet face in the sea of scrubs and hurried footsteps. She was a voice, a symbol, a bridge between the patients and the powerful boardrooms above. But with this new role came new challenges, and the weight of expectations pressed heavily upon her shoulders. Mia found herself navigating a labyrinth of hospital politics she'd never known existed. The once familiar hallways now felt like corridors of whispered conversations and subtle glances. Department heads who had ignored her now nodded respectfully, but the warmth was often missing, replaced by cautious calculation. Victoria Hale, the surgical services director, watched Mia with narrowed eyes, a constant reminder that change often breeds resistance. One afternoon, Mia lingered near the supply room, catching her breath. Tammy, always her anchor, appeared with a knowing smile. "They're watching, but not just the executives," Tammy said. "Staff talk. Gossip flies faster than any email. You're on everyone's lips, sugar." Mia laughed softly, though the tension lingered beneath the surface. The spotlight was as intimidating as it was exhilarating. That evening, after a long shift, Mia sat quietly in the hospital garden courtyard. The air was heavy with the scent of magnolia and rain-soaked earth. Her thoughts wandered to the first night Alexander Cole had seen her dance the careless twirl with a mop, the unguarded laughter. That moment had changed everything, not just for him, but for her. It was a reminder that beneath the titles and duties, they were both human, searching for meaning amid the chaos. Alexander, too, was wrestling with the shifts their connection was bringing. As CEO, he was accustomed to control, to decisions made in quiet boardrooms away from the daily grind. But Mia's authenticity challenged that order, reminding him that leadership was more than strategy. It was about listening, understanding, and sometimes vulnerability. Their relationship deepened in subtle ways, shared lunches in the hospital cafeteria, away from prying eyes, brief conversations that lingered longer than necessary, and stolen moments of laughter amidst the pressure. Mia found herself drawn to Alexander's guarded nature, sensing the loneliness beneath his polished exterior. He envied her ability to dance, to find joy in small moments, a freedom he felt slipping away. One afternoon, as they walked through the hospital corridors together, Alexander asked softly, "What made you stay?" "When so many leave." Mia paused, the weight of her years in nursing pressing down. "Because someone has to stay," she said quietly. "Someone has to care when the system forgets to." He nodded, his gaze steady. "You've already started something here, something bigger than either of us imagined." But the path forward was anything but smooth. Victoria's presence loomed large, her influence threatening to undermine Mia's initiatives. At a tense board meeting, Victoria challenged Mia's reports, calling them emotional and unscientific. The room buzzed with murmurs as Mia stood her ground, advocating fiercely for the nurses and patients whose voices often went unheard. Alexander intervened gently but firmly, reminding everyone that true leadership included listening to the front line. The exchange left Mia both shaken and invigorated. She was making waves, but the waters were still treacherous. The hospital's annual charity gala brought another layer of complexity. Mia, stepping into the opulent world of donors and socialites, felt the disparity between her humble origins and the glittering world Alexander inhabited. Dressed in a simple yet elegant gown, she caught glimpses of curious looks and whispered conversations. Yet Alexander's presence at her side, relaxed and genuine, was a balm. When the gala's video montage featured the security footage of Mia's hallway dance, the room fell silent. The unfiltered joy and vulnerability struck a chord with everyone, breaking down barriers and reminding all present of the heart behind their work. Later, as applause echoed, Mia confronted Alexander about the decision to share her image without prior notice. The conversation was raw and honest, delving into themes of visibility, consent, and leadership. Alexander confessed he wanted the world to see the authentic care often hidden behind policies and procedures. Mia struggled to reconcile her discomfort with the undeniable impact the moment had created. Their relationship, already complicated by professional boundaries and personal fears, deepened into a fragile dance of trust. Rumors began to swirl among the staff and community, testing their resolve. Mia worried about losing herself, about becoming a symbol rather than a person. Alexander grappled with balancing his feelings and the demands of his position. Yet, through the uncertainty, the dance remained a metaphor for resilience, connection, and hope. One night, Mia received a letter from a patient's family, a heartfelt thank you that brought tears to her eyes. Standing before her colleagues at a staff meeting, She read the letter aloud, reminding everyone why they had chosen this demanding path to bring dignity, comfort, and hope to those who needed it most. As the room filled with gratitude, Alexander watched from the sidelines, proud yet aware of the battles ahead. Their journey together was far from over. It was only beginning. The momentum that Mia Thompson had built within Charleston Grace Medical Center was undeniable, yet the path she now walked was far from smooth. Being a bridge between the hospital's frontline caregivers and its executive leadership meant walking a tightrope, balancing advocacy with diplomacy, passion with patience, and truth with tact. Mia had quickly learned that change, especially in institutions as complex and layered as a major hospital, was often met with resistance cloaked in polite smiles and measured words. Victoria Hale, the surgical services director, was perhaps the most formidable of these obstacles. Her polished presentations and strategic language masked a steely determination to preserve the status quo, making every meeting feel like a battlefield. One afternoon, Mia entered the staff lounge, feeling the weight of exhaustion pressing down on her. Tammy, ever her steadfast ally, handed her a cup of coffee with a reassuring smile. "You're holding up better than most, sugar," Tammy said, her eyes warm but tired. "But even steel bends under pressure." Mia nodded, grateful for Tammy's unspoken understanding. "I thought being nominated for this role meant change would come faster. Instead, it feels like I'm banging on a locked door." "Doors don't just open, honey," Tammy replied softly. "Sometimes you have to find the right key." That key, Mia realized, might be her authenticity, the very thing that had drawn Alexander Cole's attention from the start. Unlike the polished executives who had perfected their public personas, Mia's genuine care for patients and refusal to conform to sterile corporate norms made her both a beacon and a threat. Despite the challenges, Mia found moments of solace in her growing connection with Alexander. Their shared lunches in the quiet corners of the hospital cafeteria became a refuge from the relentless demands of their roles. Conversation flowed from work to dreams, fears, and the vulnerabilities they seldom showed to others. "I envy your ability to find joy in the small things," Alexander confessed one afternoon, his voice low and sincere. "I've been so consumed by control and expectation, I forgot how to just be." Mia smiled gently. "Sometimes you have to dance in the hallway alone to remember you're still real." He laughed softly, a rare sound that lit up his tired eyes. "I tried once. Turns out I'm less graceful than I imagined." Their bond deepened, but so did the complications. Rumors about their closeness circulated quietly among staff, mixing professional gossip with speculation about their personal lives. Mia felt the sting of judgment and the burden of being watched, not just by colleagues, but by the public eye that followed Alexander's every move. One evening, after a particularly tense board meeting, Mia stood alone in the hospital garden courtyard. The cool air was thick with the scent of rain and magnolia blossoms. Alexander approached silently, joining her without a word. "I know it's not easy," he said finally, his gaze distant yet focused. "They see you as a symbol now, not just a nurse." Mia nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm losing myself in the role." He reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "You're not losing anything. You're becoming." But even as they leaned into each other's presence, the realities of their worlds intruded. Victoria's machinations intensified, subtle moves to undermine Mia's influence and question her credentials. Board members whispered doubts about her emotional approach to leadership, favoring sterile data over heartfelt stories. At the annual charity gala, the glittering crowd buzzed with excitement and scrutiny. Mia, dressed elegantly yet simply, felt the contrast sharply, the world of silk gowns and crystal chandeliers stark against the echoing halls where she'd once danced alone. Alexander stayed by her side, his hand reassuringly steady. Together, they navigated the labyrinth of donor expectations and polished speeches. Yet beneath the surface, tension simmered. The gala's highlight was a video montage showcasing the hospital's caregivers, culminating with the now iconic footage of Mia's hallway dance. The room fell silent as the unfiltered moment played a stark reminder of the humanity often lost in clinical walls. Tears glistened in the eyes of some guests, Others shifted uncomfortably, confronted by a truth that disrupted their polished narratives. Afterward, Mia confronted Alexander about the decision to include her without prior consent. Their conversation was raw, exposing fears of vulnerability and control. Alexander admitted his intention was to show the world the heart behind the hospital, even if it meant risking discomfort. "You made me visible in a way I wasn't ready for," Mia confessed, voice trembling. "But maybe that's what we all need to be seen, flaws and all." Their relationship, a dance of trust and hesitation, grew more complex. Rumors spread, whispers of favoritism and impropriety threatening to overshadow their work. Mia grappled with fears of losing not just her job, but her identity. One quiet night, Mia received a letter from a patient's family, words of gratitude that touched her deeply. At a staff meeting, she read it aloud, reminding everyone why they persevered through exhaustion and adversity, to bring dignity, hope, and healing. Alexander watched from the back, pride and admiration etched across his features. Their journey was far from over, but the foundation was laid a dance of courage, authenticity, and change in a world resistant to both. The days stretched into weeks, and Mia Thompson found herself increasingly immersed in her new role as the patient care liaison, a title that sounded impressive but carried responsibilities she hadn't fully anticipated. The hospital's corridors, once a sanctuary of familiar faces and routines, now felt like battlegrounds, where every conversation was a negotiation, and every decision weighed heavy with unseen consequences. The transformation was subtle, yet relentless. Staff meetings, once confined to clinical updates, now featured discussions about systemic change, patient experience metrics, and resource allocation. Mia was often the lone voice representing the frontline staff, tasked with translating the concerns of nurses, techs, and janitorial workers into language that executives could understand and act upon. This was no small feat. The gap between the worlds of bedside care and corporate strategy was vast, filled with jargon, politics, and competing priorities. Mia's straightforward passion was often met with polite nods, but thinly veiled skepticism. Some saw her as a threat, a disruptor challenging long-held traditions and power structures. Victoria Hale remained her most vocal adversary. At one particularly tense executive meeting, Victoria's pointed criticisms cut deep. "While we appreciate Ms. Thompson's dedication, we must prioritize efficiency and cost-effectiveness," she argued, her voice calm but sharp. "Emotional appeals have no place in strategic planning." Mia's response was measured but firm. Patients are not numbers, and neither are the caregivers who support them. Without acknowledging the human element, we risk losing what truly matters. The room fell silent, the tension palpable. Alexander Cole's intervention was decisive, yet diplomatic. Both perspectives are essential. Efficiency must serve compassion, not replace it. His gaze met Mia's, a silent encouragement that fueled her resolve. Outside the meetings, the personal stakes rose. The whispered rumors about Mia and Alexander's relationship began to circulate more widely among staff and in social circles connected to the hospital's donors. The scrutiny was unrelenting, testing their ability to separate professional boundaries from personal feelings. Mia found solace in quiet conversations with Tammy and Kayla, the younger nurse, whose admiration for Mia bordered on sisterly devotion. "You're changing this place," Tammy said one night, her voice thick with emotion. "Not everyone will like it, but you're making them listen." The annual hospital gala approached, a dazzling event where wealth and influence converged to support Charleston Grace's mission. For Mia, it was a world away from the hospital's grueling shifts and clinical halls. The glittering lights, the elegant gowns, and the polished speeches highlighted the contrast between her humble beginnings and the elite society Alexander navigated effortlessly. The night was alive with anticipation. Mia, in a sleek but understated dress, felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Alexander's presence beside her was a comforting anchor amid the swirling currents of social expectations and unspoken judgments. When the gala's tribute video began, showcasing caregivers in their most candid moments, the audience was drawn into a narrative rarely seen: the exhausted nurse comforting a scared child, the tech quietly tending to equipment in the dead of night, and then the unmistakable footage of Mia dancing alone in the hospital hallway. Her carefree spins and unfiltered laughter were a stark contrast to the polished world surrounding them. The room fell into a hushed reverence, many guests visibly moved by the raw humanity on screen. For Mia, the moment was overwhelming, vulnerable yet empowering. She realized that her private act of joy had become a beacon, reminding everyone that care was not just a job, but a profound act of love and resilience. After the applause, Mia sought out Alexander. The conversation that followed was honest and vulnerable. She expressed her discomfort at being exposed without consent, while he explained his belief that the world needed to see the truth behind the hospital's walls. "You made me visible in a way I wasn't ready for," Mia admitted, voice trembling. "But maybe that's what we all need to be seen, flaws and all." Their relationship deepened into a complex dance of trust, passion, and uncertainty. Rumors and whispered suspicions tested their bond, but they found strength in shared moments, quiet dinners away from prying eyes, stolen conversations in empty corridors, and the simple comfort of presence. Mia's work continued to challenge the hospital's culture. She organized informal staff forums, creating safe spaces for nurses and support staff to voice concerns and share stories. These gatherings revealed the hidden fractures within the system, the emotional toll of understaffing, the frustration of outdated protocols, and the desire for genuine recognition. One such evening, Mia read aloud a letter from a patient's family, expressing gratitude for the dignity and care their loved one received. The room was filled with a profound silence, broken only by the soft sniffles of those moved to tears. In that moment, the purpose of Mia's struggle crystallized, to bring humanity back to the center of healthcare. Alexander watched from the sidelines, pride and concern mingling in his gaze. He understood the battles Mia faced, both external and internal, and the courage it took to lead from the front lines. As the months passed, change began to ripple through Charleston Grace. New policies were introduced to improve communication and support for staff. Patient satisfaction scores climbed, and a renewed sense of community blossomed within the hospital's walls. Yet, Mia knew the journey was far from over. The hospital's complex ecosystem resisted transformation, and the personal sacrifices were real. The line between professional duty and personal vulnerability blurred, demanding resilience she hadn't anticipated. One evening, standing in the hospital's garden under a sky painted with stars, Alexander and Mia shared a quiet moment. The scent of lavender and polished wood filled the air, a gentle reminder of the space they had helped create a sanctuary for healing beyond medicine. "I'm proud of what you've done," Alexander said softly, his eyes reflecting the depth of his feeling. "You've changed this place and me." Mia smiled, her heart full yet heavy with the weight of the road ahead. "We're just getting started." The dance they had begun together, a delicate balance of hope, struggle, and connection, was far from over. But in that shared silence, beneath the soft glow of the night, they found strength in each other and the promise of a future where care and compassion would lead the way. The weeks following the gala brought a new rhythm to Charleston Grace Medical Center, a rhythm that pulsed with cautious optimism and the quiet hum of transformation. Mia Thompson, now firmly entrenched as the patient care liaison, found herself both invigorated and burdened by the weight of her role. The hospital was no longer just a place of work. It was a stage where change played out in real time, with every decision rippling through the lives of staff and patients alike. Mia's days began earlier and ended later, her schedule packed with meetings, interviews, and spontaneous conversations with staff from every department. She had become the living bridge between the world of bedside care and executive decision-making, a role both exhilarating and isolating. The very authenticity that had drawn Alexander Cole to her was now her greatest asset and, paradoxically, her most vulnerable point. Hospital politics, long an undercurrent beneath clinical routines, had surged to the surface. While many celebrated the shift towards greater inclusivity and transparency, entrenched interests resisted. Victoria Hale remained a formidable adversary, her sharp gaze and strategic maneuvers a constant reminder that power was often guarded fiercely, especially when challenged by someone from the front line. One particularly trying day, Mia found herself face-to-face with Victoria in the executive conference room. The air was thick with tension, as Victoria outlined her vision for the upcoming surgical expansion, a plan that prioritized budget cuts over staffing needs. Mia listened patiently, then responded with quiet conviction. "Efficiency cannot come at the cost of patient safety or staff well-being," she said firmly. "We must find a balance that honors both." Victoria's lips curled into a thin smile. "Idealism is admirable, Ms. Thompson, but healthcare is a business. Sometimes, tough decisions must be made." Mia met her gaze unwaveringly. "Healthcare is about people. When we forget that, we lose everything." The room fell silent. Alexander, seated at the head of the table, intervened smoothly. "Both perspectives are necessary. Let's ensure our strategy reflects compassion and pragmatism." The delicate dance between competing priorities was far from over, but Mia felt the tide slowly shifting. Amid the professional battles, Mia's relationship with Alexander deepened into something tender and complex. Their shared moments were often fleeting, stolen conversations between shifts, quiet dinners away from the hospital's watchful eyes, and gentle reassurances in the garden courtyard under starlit skies. One evening, as they walked together along the hospital's tree-lined paths, Alexander broke the comfortable silence. "You've changed this place, Mia. Not just the policies, but the culture. You remind me what leadership really means." Mia smiled softly, the weight of his words settling deep within her. "It's not just me. It's every nurse, every tech, every person who shows up and cares. We're the heart of this hospital." He stopped and looked at her, his eyes reflecting both admiration and vulnerability. "And you're its soul." Yet, their bond was tested by the pressures swirling around them. Rumors circulated among staff and donors, blending professional speculation with whispers of a personal connection. Mia wrestled with the fear of being seen as a symbol rather than a person, her identity threatened by public scrutiny. In the quiet moments, Tammy's steady presence anchored her. "You're more than a role or a rumor, Sugar. You're the reason people believe change is possible." At the same time, Alexander grappled with his own vulnerabilities. The polished CEO mask he wore so effortlessly hid the loneliness and doubt beneath. Mia's authenticity challenged his carefully constructed world, offering both solace and uncertainty. The hospital's new family reflection space, a sanctuary born from their shared vision, became a place of healing not just for patients and families, but for Mia and Alexander as well. They spent hours there, planning programs, listening to stories, and finding moments of peace amidst the storm. One afternoon, Mia received a letter from the grandson of a patient she had cared for, a heartfelt note expressing gratitude for the dignity and comfort she had provided during difficult times. Reading the letter aloud at a staff forum, Mia reminded her colleagues why their work mattered beyond protocols and procedures. Tears filled the room, and applause followed not just for Mia, but for the collective courage and compassion embodied by the hospital staff. Alexander, watching from the sidelines, felt a swell of pride tempered by awareness of the challenges yet to come. Their journey together, personal and professional, was far from over. As the hospital's corridors hummed with new energy and hope, Mia and Alexander stood at the crossroads of change, united by a shared commitment to transforming healthcare from within. The chill of early morning settled softly over Charleston Grace Medical Center as Mia Thompson arrived before her usual shift. The hospital was still cloaked in quiet, the low hum of machines and the faint scent of antiseptic mingling with the crisp air. Yet beneath this calm facade, the hospital was alive with anticipation. The past months had brought a whirlwind of change, and today marked a pivotal moment in Mia's journey. The first official meeting of the newly formed Patient Experience Council, a body she had helped establish to ensure the voices of caregivers and patients shaped every corner of the institution. As Mia stepped into the glass-walled conference room, she was greeted by a diverse group: nurses, doctors, techs, administrators, and even representatives from patient advocacy groups. It was a gathering unlike any she'd ever attended, a microcosm of the hospital's complexity and potential. The air was thick with expectation and a hint of nervous energy. Alexander Cole, ever the composed leader, took his place at the head of the table. His eyes briefly met Mia's, offering a silent nod of encouragement. The room fell quiet as he began. "This council is more than a committee," he said, voice steady yet warm. "It's a commitment to listen, to act, and to transform. The stories and insights shared here will shape Charleston Grace's future." Mia felt a swell of pride. This was the fruition of countless late nights, countless battles fought quietly behind the scenes. Yet, even as the council's formation marked progress, the path forward was lined with challenges. The first agenda item opened a floodgate of honest conversation. Frontline staff spoke candidly about burnout, understaffing, and the emotional toll of caregiving. Techs shared stories of outdated equipment hindering their work. Patient advocates highlighted communication gaps that left families feeling isolated and confused. Mia listened intently, occasionally jotting notes. She knew these voices carried the truth, often obscured by metrics and budgets. When it was her turn, she shared her vision, a hospital where compassion was measurable, where every patient and caregiver felt seen and valued. Her words resonated, but not everyone was comfortable. Some administrators raised concerns about feasibility and costs. Victoria Hale, ever the strategist, voiced cautious optimism, but emphasized the need for balance and sustainability. The debate was robust, but respectful. Alexander skillfully navigated the dialogue, ensuring all perspectives were heard. Mia admired his ability to lead with both authority and empathy, a dance she was learning to match. Outside the meeting, the hospital buzzed with quiet excitement and skepticism. Staff whispered about the council's potential to change their daily realities, while some wondered if it was another fleeting initiative destined to fade. Mia spent the following days visiting wards and units, holding informal discussions, gathering feedback, and building trust. The hospital's heartbeat, she realized, was not in the grand boardrooms, but in these corridors, break rooms, and patient rooms where real stories unfolded. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Mia found herself in the family reflection room, a sanctuary she and Alexander had envisioned together. The room was bathed in soft light, the scent of lavender calming. She ran her fingers over the polished wood of the pews, feeling the weight of the journey etched into every corner. Alexander joined her quietly, his presence grounding. "This place has become more than we imagined," he said, voice low. "It's a symbol of what's possible when we listen." Mia smiled, her heart full yet tempered by the knowledge that their work was far from finished. Change is slow, but real. Their moments of connection, though often brief, deepened. They shared stories of vulnerability and strength, of sacrifices made and hopes nurtured. Mia learned of Alexander's childhood, marked by the loss of his father and the weight of expectations, while he discovered her resilience, forged through years on the hospital floor. Their relationship, a delicate balance of friendship, respect, and unspoken affection, unfolded with both tenderness and tension. The hospital's public eye, ever watchful, added pressure, but within the quiet spaces they carved out, they found solace. Yet, the external challenges remained. A major budget review loomed, threatening to cut resources critical to patient care. Victoria Hale's influence was palpable as she championed cost-saving measures that alarmed many staff. Mia rallied her allies, preparing reports and testimonies to present at the upcoming board meeting. She knew the stakes were high, not just for her position, but for the very soul of Charleston Grace. The night before the meeting, Mia sat alone in the staff lounge, the hum of distant monitors a lullaby. Tammy joined her with a cup of tea and a reassuring smile. "You carry a lot, honey," Tammy said softly. "Remember, you're not alone." Mia nodded, sipping the warm tea. "I just want to make sure we don't lose what makes this place real." The next day, as the board convened, Mia's presentation was a heartfelt plea, a blend of data, patient stories, and passionate advocacy. She spoke of caregivers stretched thin, patients forgotten in bureaucracy, and the urgent need for investment in human-centered care. Victoria countered with fiscal arguments, emphasizing efficiency and sustainability. The room bristled with tension as the two worlds collided. Alexander, seated beside the board chair, lent his support quietly but firmly. His vote and influence tipped the scales toward a compromise, a promise to protect, critical resources while exploring innovative solutions. The victory was bittersweet. The road ahead remained uncertain, but for the first time in years, there was a glimmer of hope. That evening, Mia and Alexander met in the garden, the night air cool and fragrant. They stood together beneath the stars, their shared journey reflected in their quiet smiles. "You've changed this hospital and me," Alexander said, taking her hand. Mia squeezed his fingers gently. "We're in this together." As the hospital lights flickered softly around them, Mia felt the rhythm of their dance, the ebb and flow of challenge and triumph, vulnerability and strength. The dance was far from over, but together they were learning its steps. The dawn light filtered softly through the tall windows of Charleston Grace Medical Center, casting long shadows across the polished floors. Mia Thompson's footsteps echoed quietly as she made her way to the newly established patient care liaison office. Her office a space she had fought hard to claim, both symbolically and literally. The air was tinged with the faint scent of fresh coffee and paper, but beneath the calm exterior lay the simmering challenges that came with change. Months had passed since the Patient Experience Council's inaugural meeting, and while progress was evident, it was far from linear. New programs were implemented to support staff wellness and patient communication, yet the hospital's ingrained bureaucracy often slowed momentum. Mia found herself in the eye of the storm, navigating shifting alliances, managing expectations, and sometimes standing alone in the face of resistance. Victoria Hale, ever vigilant, was sharpening her tactics. She pushed back against policies Mia championed, questioning budgets and advocating for operational expediency. The board meetings became arenas where compromise was necessary, but never easy. Victoria's polished arguments and strategic alliances meant Mia had to be not only passionate, but politically savvy. One morning, as Mia reviewed reports detailing patient satisfaction and staff turnover rates, her phone buzzed with a message from Alexander Cole. "Meeting at noon, important." The weight of his words was palpable. Their relationship, once a source of private solace, had become intertwined with the professional battles they faced together. At the meeting, Alexander greeted her with a calm smile, though his eyes betrayed the stress beneath his composed exterior. "We're at a crossroads, Mia. The board's divided. Victoria's pushing hard against some of your initiatives." Mia sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I know. It feels like every step forward is met with 2 steps back." Alexander leaned forward, voice steady. "That's why your role is critical. You bring a perspective no one else sees, one that can bridge the gap between care and management." Their conversation was interrupted by a knock, and Tammy entered with a stack of patient letters and staff testimonials, tangible proof of the human impact behind the statistics. Alexander nodded appreciatively, the documents reinforcing their shared mission. Despite the pressures, moments of genuine connection punctuated Mia's days. She and Alexander found solace in quiet lunches and stolen conversations in the hospital garden. One afternoon, amidst blooming magnolia trees, Alexander confided, "Sometimes I wonder if I'm up to this, leading a hospital, managing a board, and this." Mia smiled gently. "You're not alone. We all have doubts, but it's the courage to keep going that defines us." Their bond deepened, built on trust and mutual respect, yet the delicate balance was continually tested by external forces. Rumors swirled among staff about favoritism and blurred boundaries, adding strain to an already fraught environment. One evening, Mia returned to the family reflection room, a sanctuary filled with soft light and the comforting scent of lavender. She sat quietly, reflecting on the journey from that first hallway dance to the present. The room felt alive with memories of patients, caregivers, and the quiet victories that often went unnoticed. Alexander joined her, his presence a steady anchor. "This space has become more than a room. It's a testament to what we're building." Mia nodded, heart full but cautious. "It's beautiful, but change takes time and sometimes a toll." Their conversation turned to the future plans for expanded patient support programs, staff wellness initiatives, and community outreach. Together, they dreamed of a hospital where care transcended medicine, where every person, patient, or caregiver felt valued. Yet, The realities of power dynamics and institutional inertia loomed large. Victoria's influence remained a constant challenge, as did the hospital's financial pressures. The upcoming budget review threatened to cut essential staffing and resources, risking the progress Mia and Alexander had fought for. In preparation, Mia coordinated with allies across departments, gathering data and stories to present a compelling case to the board. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but so was her determination. On the day of the review, the boardroom was tense. Mia's presentation wove together statistics and heartfelt narratives, painting a vivid picture of the hospital's needs. Victoria countered with sharp fiscal arguments, emphasizing efficiency and cost containment. The debate was fierce but respectful. Alexander, mediating with practiced skill, reminded the board of their mission beyond numbers. In the end, a compromise was reached: a modest increase in staffing, coupled with a commitment to ongoing evaluation. Though not a sweeping victory, it was a crucial step forward. Mia felt a surge of hope, tempered by realism. That evening, as the hospital quieted, Mia and Alexander met in the garden courtyard. The air was cool, fragrant with blooming jasmine. They stood in comfortable silence, the city lights twinkling in the distance. "You've changed the heart of this place," Alexander said softly. "Not just policies, but people." Mia smiled, a mixture of exhaustion and fulfillment. "We're still dancing, aren't we?" He took her hand gently. "Always." In that moment, beneath the canopy of stars, they embraced the ongoing dance, the ebb and flow of challenge and triumph, vulnerability and strength. Their journey was far from over, but together they found courage in the steps they took. The sun was just beginning to cast its golden glow over Charleston Grace Medical Center when Mia Thompson arrived early for her shift. The hospital buzzed quietly with the soft footsteps of night staff finishing their rounds and early morning teams gearing up for the day ahead. Despite the calm, Mia's mind raced with the complexities that had become her daily reality. The patient care liaison role, once a symbol of hope and change, now felt like navigating a labyrinth where every corner held new challenges. In the months since the last boardroom battle, the hospital had seen both progress and pushback. New initiatives to improve patient communication and staff support had been implemented, yet systemic issues persisted. The entrenched bureaucracy sometimes felt like an immovable wall, and the pressure to balance compassion with efficiency weighed heavily on everyone. Mia's relationship with Alexander Cole had deepened, evolving into a partnership that blended professional collaboration with personal connection. Their rare moments together, quiet lunches, evening walks through the hospital gardens, stolen smiles and crowded corridors, offered a reprieve from the intensity surrounding them. Yet, the public's gaze and hospital politics kept their relationship delicately poised between privacy and speculation. One particularly taxing afternoon, Mia was summoned to a meeting with Victoria Hale, the surgical services director. The tension in the room was palpable as Victoria laid out new plans to restructure nursing schedules, aiming to reduce overtime costs. "We need to optimize resources," Victoria stated calmly. "Emotional appeals are secondary to operational necessities." Mia listened carefully, then responded with measured conviction. "Our nurses are the backbone of patient care. Reducing their hours without support will risk burnout and compromise safety." Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly. "Efficiency and care must coexist. We cannot sacrifice one for the other." The conversation ended without resolution, leaving Mia to ponder the delicate balance between fiscal responsibility and humane treatment. She knew that the upcoming hospital budget review would be critical. Later that week, Mia joined Alexander for a late dinner in a quiet corner of the city. The dim lighting and soft music created a sanctuary from their hectic lives. Over shared plates and quiet conversation, Alexander admitted his fears. "Sometimes I wonder if the weight of this place is too much for me and for you." Mia reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "We're in this together, and we're stronger than we realize." Their bond was a source of strength amidst the storm of responsibilities and scrutiny. Yet, the hospital's politics were unforgiving. Rumors circulated, some malicious, some born from misunderstanding, challenging their resolve. The following days saw Mia doubling down on her efforts. She organized town hall meetings with staff, creating safe spaces for open dialogue about workplace concerns and patient care improvements. These forums were filled with raw, honest stories that underscored the human cost of systemic neglect and the hope sparked by meaningful change. One evening, Mia stood in the family reflection room, a tranquil space bathed in warm light and the soothing scent of lavender. She reflected on the journey from that solitary dance in the hallway to this moment. The room was a testament to resilience and compassion, a physical embodiment of the change she and Alexander had nurtured. Alexander joined her silently. This space, it's more than a room, it's a beacon. Mia nodded, her heart full yet cautious. Change is never easy, but it's necessary. The hospital's annual charity gala approached, bringing with it both opportunity and tension. Donors and community leaders gathered to celebrate achievements and secure funding for future projects. Mia and Alexander navigated the elegant event side by side, their partnership both personal and professional on display, though carefully guarded from gossip. The gala's centerpiece was a video montage capturing candid moments of care within the hospital, nurses comforting patients, techs working tirelessly, and, notably, Mia's iconic hallway dance. The raw, joyful footage resonated deeply with the audience, reminding all that at the heart of medicine lay humanity. After the event, Mia confronted Alexander about the decision to include the footage without her prior knowledge. Their conversation was filled with vulnerability and honesty, highlighting the complexities of leadership, visibility, and personal boundaries. "You made me visible in a way I wasn't ready for," Mia confessed. Alexander replied softly, "But sometimes, being seen is the first step toward real change." Their relationship, like the hospital itself, was a delicate dance full of trust, tension, and the constant negotiation between heart and duty. In the months that followed, Mia faced new challenges, balancing the demands of her role, managing staff expectations, and confronting the realities of institutional resistance. Yet, her resolve never wavered. With Alexander's support and the growing community she helped build, she continued to push for a hospital where care, compassion, and humanity were paramount. As she prepared for a crucial board meeting, Mia found strength in the knowledge that every step forward, no matter how small, was a victory. The quiet dance that began in a lonely hallway had blossomed into a movement, one heartbeat at a time. The early morning sun filtered softly through the expansive windows of Charleston Grace Medical Center, bathing the corridors in a warm, golden light. Mia Thompson stepped into the hospital with a mix of determination and quiet anticipation. Today marked a significant milestone, not just for her personally, but for the entire institution. The long-anticipated launch of the new Patient-Centered Care Initiative was scheduled, a program Mia had championed for months, designed to bridge the gap between administrative policies and frontline realities. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement and nervous energy. Staff gathered in small clusters, exchanging hopeful whispers and cautious optimism. The echoes of the first tentative steps Mia had taken, like that solitary dance down the hospital hallway, seemed to ripple through the halls, a reminder of how far they had come. Mia made her way to the auditorium, where the hospital's board, executives, department heads, and staff had convened for the launch. Alexander Cole was already there, his presence steady and reassuring. Their eyes met across the room, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had shared and the battles yet to come. As Mia took the podium, she felt the weight of countless voices behind her, the nurses who toiled through exhausting shifts, the patients who had trusted Charleston Grace with their lives, the families who had found solace in moments of despair. She began with a simple truth. Healthcare is not just about technology or numbers. It is about people. Her speech wove together data, stories, and heartfelt appeals. She spoke of the power of listening, of empathy, and of creating a culture where every caregiver and patient felt seen and valued. The audience listened intently, the room hanging on her every word. After her address, the program rolled out with workshops, interactive sessions, and forums designed to foster collaboration and innovation. Mia moved among the attendees, gathering feedback, answering questions, and building bridges between departments often siloed by tradition and hierarchy. Outside the auditorium, Alexander met with board members and donors, advocating fiercely for sustained investment in the initiative. His dual role as CEO and ally to Mia's vision was instrumental in navigating the complexities of healthcare finance and politics. Despite the enthusiasm, resistance simmered beneath the surface. Some staff members, worn thin by years of systemic challenges, greeted the initiative with skepticism. Others feared change might bring more bureaucracy or threaten their hard-earned routines. Mia understood these concerns, knowing that true transformation required patience, transparency, and trust. One afternoon, she sat with Tammy and Kayla in the family reflection room, their sanctuary from the hospital's relentless pace. Tammy, ever the pragmatic mentor, offered wise counsel. Change isn't a sprint, sugar. It's a marathon. You've got to pace yourself and bring others along. Mia nodded, absorbing the gravity of those words. It's just, sometimes I worry we're fighting an uphill battle. Kayla smiled, youthful yet grounded. But every step forward counts, even the small ones. Meanwhile, Alexander grappled with his own challenges, balancing the demands of leadership with the vulnerability Mia had awakened in him. Their relationship, once a quiet secret, was becoming more visible, navigating the tricky waters of hospital politics and public perception. During a high-profile fundraising event, whispers and sideways glances tested their resolve. Yet, in stolen moments like a late-night conversation, in the garden, under a canopy of stars, they found solace and strength. "You've changed this hospital," Alexander said softly, his hand finding hers. "And you've changed me." Mia smiled, heart full but cautious. "We're just getting started." The months ahead promised more hurdles, budget reviews, policy debates, and the ongoing effort to keep the patient's voice at the center of every decision. But Mia faced them with renewed vigor, supported by a growing coalition of caregivers, advocates, and leaders. As she prepared for another critical board meeting, Mia reflected on the journey from that first dance in an empty hallway to standing before an auditorium filled with hope and possibility. The path had been anything but easy, marked by moments of doubt, sacrifice, and fierce determination. Yet, through it all, one truth remained clear. Change is possible when courage meets compassion, and when the quietest voices are finally heard. Morning light filtered gently through the glass doors of Charleston Grace Medical Center, casting soft shadows on the polished floor as Mia Thompson stepped into the bustling hospital once again. The air was thick with the usual mix of urgency and hope, voices calling out, wheels rolling, the hum of machines, and yet beneath that familiar cacophony lay a new undercurrent of possibility, a quiet but growing wave of change that Mia and Alexander Cole had been nurturing over many months. The launch of the Patient-Centered Care Initiative had set a course toward transforming not just policies, but the very culture of Charleston Grace. Yet, as Mia walked the corridors, greeting tired but resolute nurses and compassionate doctors, she knew the road ahead remained steep. Progress was never linear, and the pushback from entrenched interests was subtle but persistent. Today, Mia was scheduled to meet with a group of frontline caregivers, many of whom had expressed concerns about the initiative's implementation. The sessions were designed to foster dialogue, to listen not only to praise, but to criticism, and to adjust course where necessary. Mia believed in the power of honesty, real, sometimes uncomfortable honesty, to build trust. In a quiet conference room, bathed in warm morning light, Mia sat among a circle of nurses, techs, and support staff. Tammy, her steadfast mentor, was there too, offering a steadying presence. The conversation began hesitantly, then grew raw and genuine. One nurse spoke of the relentless exhaustion that came with understaffed shifts, how the initiative's added reporting requirements sometimes felt like extra weight rather than support. Another shared a story about a patient who'd felt invisible during a critical moment, a reminder that systems, no matter how well-intentioned, could still fail in the smallest but most profound ways. Mia listened deeply, heart swelling with both empathy and resolve. "Change isn't easy," she acknowledged. "Sometimes it feels like a storm shaking the foundations. But it's in these moments when we listen, when we act, that we find the strength to build something better." The group nodded, some eyes shining with unshed tears, others filled with guarded hope. Tammy smiled softly. Remember the hallway dance? It wasn't just a moment of joy. It was a declaration. We see you. We care. Meanwhile, Alexander was meeting with the hospital's board, navigating the delicate dance of funding, policy, and politics. His role as CEO required balance, championing the initiative while maintaining the confidence of donors and stakeholders wary of rapid change. After a lengthy session, filled with strategic discussions and budget debates, Alexander found himself in his office, the city skyline sprawling beyond the windows. His phone buzzed a message from Mia. Meeting with staff went well. Wish you were here. He smiled, the simple words a balm to his often heavy heart. Later that evening, they met in the hospital garden, the fragrant night air wrapping around them like a gentle embrace. The garden, with its softly lit paths and rustling leaves, had become their refuge, a place where the pressures of leadership and the vulnerability of their relationship intertwined. Alexander took Mia's hand, his voice low and sincere. You've brought life back to this place, not just policies or programs, but hope. That's a rare gift. Mia looked into his eyes, feeling both strength and tenderness. It's a gift we give each other, and it's fragile. We have to protect it. Their shared smiles spoke volumes, a quiet acknowledgement that amidst the challenges, they had found an anchor in one another. Yet, the journey was far from over. Rumors and whispers about their relationship circulated among staff and donors, threatening to distract from the mission. Mia grappled with maintaining professional boundaries while embracing the authentic connection they shared. One morning, a letter arrived in Mia's mailbox, a heartfelt note from the family of a patient she had cared for. The words of gratitude and remembrance reminded her why the fight was worth it. At a staff forum she organized, Mia read the letter aloud, her voice steady despite the tears welling in her eyes. The room was silent, save for the soft sniffles and the quiet applause that followed. The letter was more than words. It was a testament to the impact of compassion and presence. Alexander watched from the back of the room, pride and admiration shining in his gaze. In the weeks that followed, the patient-centered care initiative gained momentum. New training programs were introduced, communication channels improved, and staff wellness took on renewed importance. Yet, the hospital's complex ecosystem meant setbacks were inevitable. Mia faced moments of doubt, questioning whether her efforts could sustain the tides of resistance. In those times, Tammy's unwavering support was a beacon. Change takes time, honey, and it takes all of us. As the hospital prepared for its annual fundraiser gala, Mia found herself reflecting on the path that had brought her here, from a nurse dancing alone in a hallway to a leader inspiring a community. The gala was both a celebration and a crucible where hopes would be tested and alliances forged. Dressed in a simple yet elegant gown, Mia entered the grand hall, the soft glow of chandeliers casting a warm light on the faces around her. Alexander greeted her with a smile that reached his eyes, a mixture of affection and shared determination. The evening centerpiece was a video montage showcasing moments of care and connection throughout Charleston Grace. As the footage rolled, Mia's iconic dance appeared unfiltered, joyful, and unapologetic. The room fell into a hush, the raw humanity resonating deeply. After the presentation, Mia and Alexander navigated conversations with donors and community leaders, advocating for sustained support and emphasizing the initiative's transformative potential. Despite the glamour, Mia remained grounded, aware that the real work continued in the hospital's corridors, patient rooms, and hearts. In the quiet moments that followed the gala, Mia and Alexander stood together beneath the stars, their fingers intertwined. "This is just the beginning," Mia whispered. The early morning sun cast a gentle glow over Charleston Grace Medical Center. As Mia Thompson arrived for her shift, the crisp air filled with the familiar blend of urgency and hope that had come to define the hospital. Though the corridors buzzed with the steady rhythm of life-saving work, beneath the surface, a quieter but no less powerful transformation was underway, a shift toward true patient-centered care, one that Mia had helped ignite with determination and heart. As she made her way through the bustling hallways, Mia greeted colleagues with genuine warmth, their nods and smiles a testament to the growing sense of community and shared purpose. Yet she was keenly aware that progress was fragile, that the hospital's deep-rooted challenges demanded constant vigilance and unwavering commitment. Her first stop was the newly inaugurated Patient Advocacy Lounge, a bright and welcoming space designed for patients and families to find comfort and resources. The room, filled with soft chairs, soothing colors, and shelves stocked with informative materials, symbolized the tangible changes emerging from the initiative. Mia's heart swelled as she watched a young mother cradle her newborn, tears of relief and gratitude shining in her eyes. Later, Mia joined a team meeting with nurses, techs, and support staff, a circle of voices united by shared stories of resilience and hope. Tammy, her trusted mentor, was there, offering steady wisdom and gentle encouragement. The discussion was candid, sometimes difficult, as the group addressed ongoing hurdles, staff shortages, administrative pressures, and the emotional toll of caregiving. Mia listened intently, drawing strength from their honesty. "We're building something real," she said softly. "It won't be perfect, but it will be ours." In the weeks that followed, the initiative expanded, introducing new training programs focused on empathy and communication, enhancing mental health resources for staff, and refining patient feedback mechanisms. Each step forward was a testament to collaboration and courage, yet also a reminder of the work still to be done. Alexander Cole, ever the steady presence, balanced the demands of leadership with a growing sense of personal connection to Mia's vision. Their partnership, both professional and deeply human, had weathered storms of doubt and politics, growing stronger through vulnerability and trust. One evening, beneath the canopy of stars in the hospital garden, Alexander shared a moment of rare openness. "I've spent years guarding this place," he confessed, "but you've shown me what it means to let go and truly care." Mia smiled, heart full. "We're changing more than policies, we're changing hearts." Their bond, delicate yet unbreakable, was a beacon amidst the challenges of hospital politics and public scrutiny. Rumors swirled, but Mia and Alexander navigated the whispers with grace, their focus unwavering. The hospital's annual charity gala approached a night blending elegance with purpose. Mia, dressed simply but elegantly, felt the weight of both expectation and possibility. The evening's highlight was a video montage capturing candid moments of care throughout Charleston Grace. As Mia's hallway dance appeared joyful, unguarded the room fell silent, the raw humanity striking a chord deep within. After the event, Mia and Alexander mingled with donors and community leaders, advocating for sustained support and emphasizing the initiative's transformative power. Yet amidst the glamour, Mia remained grounded, knowing that real change lived in the quiet moments: a nurse's gentle touch, a patient's relieved smile, a family's whispered thanks. In the days that followed, Mia received a letter from the family of a patient she had cared for, a heartfelt testament to the impact of compassion. Reading it aloud at a staff forum, she felt the room hush, the weight of gratitude filling the space. Alexander watched from the back, pride evident in his gaze. Despite the momentum, challenges persisted. Administrative hurdles, budget constraints, and skepticism tested the initiative's resilience. Mia drew strength from Tammy's steady presence and from Alexander's unwavering support. Together, they forged ahead, embodying the very change they sought. As spring blossomed over Charleston Grace, Mia stood in the family reflection room, the sanctuary where journeys began and healed. The room's soft light and gentle scent wrapped around her like a promise. Alexander joined her, voice low and sure. "This place, this work, it's more than a job. It's a calling." Mia nodded, eyes bright. "And we're answering it, together." Their hands intertwined, they faced the future with hope, ready to dance the ongoing dance of care, courage, and change, step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat. The gentle hum of Charleston Grace Medical Center stirred with the familiar cadence of morning routines as Mia Thompson stepped through its revolving doors. The scent of fresh coffee mingled with antiseptic, a paradox of comfort and sterility that defined the hospital's atmosphere. Yet today, beneath the routine, there was a palpable energy, an undercurrent of hope and transformation that Mia had come to embody. Her patient-centered care initiative had taken root, growing steadily despite the inevitable challenges. Walking the corridors, Mia greeted familiar faces, the nurses who carried exhaustion yet resilience in equal measure, the techs whose quiet dedication often went unnoticed, and the patients whose lives hung delicately between despair and recovery. In the staff break room, conversations buzzed with cautious optimism. Tammy, ever the wise mentor, shared a knowing glance with Mia. "We're not just changing policy," Tammy said softly. "We're changing hearts, and that's the hardest work of all." Mia nodded, absorbing the truth in those words. The initiative had sparked new training programs, improved communication channels, and introduced mental health support tailored for caregivers. Yet, the road was far from smooth. Resistance simmered beneath polished smiles, and the weight of systemic inertia was heavy. One afternoon, Mia convened a roundtable with frontline staff nurses, techs, custodians, all united by their intimate knowledge of the hospital's heartbeat. The stories they shared were raw and unfiltered. Patients left waiting, moments of compassion stolen by administrative demands, the silent fatigue that seeped into every shift. Listening deeply, Mia felt the swell of responsibility and the fierce determination to act. "We're building a culture where every voice matters," she said, voice steady, "where care isn't just a duty, but a shared mission." Meanwhile, Alexander Cole, her steadfast ally and partner, faced the relentless pressure of leadership. Balancing the expectations of the board with the needs of staff, he navigated a complex web of finance, politics, and personal conviction. His support for Mia's vision was unwavering, yet he understood the delicate dance required to sustain momentum. Their relationship, a quiet but powerful force, had weathered scrutiny and gossip. In stolen moments, whether in the hospital's secret garden or over late-night phone calls, they found refuge and strength. "You're the soul of this place," Alexander once whispered, "and the heartbeat of change." Yet, amidst victories, doubts lingered. The upcoming budget review loomed a crucible that could either cement their progress or unravel it. Preparation was meticulous. Mia and Alexander collaborated, compiling data, testimonials, and impact reports. They rallied allies across departments, weaving a tapestry of voices united for patient-centered care. The day of the review arrived, charged with tension. In the boardroom, numbers and narratives collided, Victoria Hale's cautious fiscal strategies facing Mia's impassioned appeals. Alexander's steady mediation reminded the board of their mission beyond ledgers and statistics. After hours of debate, a compromise emerged: increased funding for critical staffing and expanded mental health resources, coupled with a commitment to ongoing evaluation and transparency. The decision was a hard-won victory, a testament to persistence and collaboration. That evening, Mia and Alexander found solace in the hospital's quiet garden. Beneath the canopy of stars, their hands intertwined, they shared hopes and fears. "We're changing more than policies," Mia said softly. "We're changing lives." The hospital's annual charity gala approached, a night blending elegance with purpose. Mia prepared carefully, her heart fluttering with anticipation and the weight of expectation. The gala was a showcase, a celebration of progress, and a call for continued support. The centerpiece was a video montage, a tapestry of candid moments that revealed the heart of Charleston Grace. Caregivers comforting patients, techs working tirelessly, volunteers offering kindness, and Mia's iconic hallway dance, joyful and unguarded. As the footage played, the room hushed. The raw humanity struck a chord, reminding all that at the core of healthcare lay compassion and presence. Following the presentation, Mia and Alexander engaged donors and community leaders, advocating passionately for the initiative's future. Despite whispers and challenges, their resolve was unshaken. In quieter moments, Mia received letters of gratitude from patients and families, testaments to the impact of care that transcended medicine. Reading them aloud at staff forums, she fostered a shared sense of purpose and renewal. The journey was ongoing, marked by victories and setbacks, courage and vulnerability. Yet through it all, Mia and Alexander danced a delicate dance, balancing love, leadership, and the unyielding pursuit of a better tomorrow. The hospital corridors at Charleston Grace were alive with the usual early morning energy, but beneath the hum of routine, a subtle transformation had taken root. Mia Thompson felt it with every step she took, the quiet confidence of a community slowly healing, growing, and reclaiming its heart. The patient-centered care initiative was no longer just a vision, it was becoming a living, breathing part of the hospital's fabric. That morning, Mia convened a meeting with department heads from nursing, administration, and patient services. The goal was clear: to assess progress, address concerns, and strategize for the future. The room was a microcosm of the hospital's complex ecosystem, diverse voices, perspectives, and priorities all converging in one space. Mia began by acknowledging the hard work and resilience of everyone involved. "Change is never easy," she said, her voice steady and warm. "But every challenge we face is an opportunity to listen, learn, and grow." The discussions were candid. Some expressed frustration with lingering bureaucratic hurdles, while others shared success stories of improved patient experiences and staff morale. Mia listened, taking notes, asking questions, and encouraging open dialogue. Tammy and Kayla, present as frontline representatives, shared heartfelt testimonies that underscored the initiative's impact beyond metrics and policies. Later that day, Mia found a quiet moment in the family reflection room. The space, bathed in soft light and scented with lavender, had become a sanctuary for many. She reflected on the journey from the solitary dance in a dim hallway to leading a movement that touched countless lives. Her phone buzzed a message from Alexander. Meeting with the board went well. They're more aligned than ever. A smile crept across her face. Their partnership, both personal and professional, was a pillar of strength in the shifting tides of hospital politics. As spring unfolded outside, the hospital prepared for the upcoming community health fair, a celebration of wellness, education, and connection. Mia coordinated efforts with local organizations, staff volunteers, and patients eager to share their stories. The fair symbolized the initiative's commitment to bridging the hospital with the community it served. On the day of the event, the hospital courtyard blossomed with life. Colorful tents, cheerful music, and laughter filled the air. Mia moved through the crowd, engaging with families, answering questions, and basking in the warmth of shared humanity. Alexander joined her, his presence calm yet commanding. Together, they navigated the vibrant scene, connecting with donors, volunteers, and staff. Their rapport, marked by mutual respect and genuine affection, was evident to all who observed. Yet, amidst the celebration, challenges lurked. Funding uncertainties, staffing shortages, and the ever-present pressures of healthcare delivery remained. Mia and Alexander faced these realities head-on, their resolve deepening with each obstacle. One evening, as the hospital settled into quiet, Mia and Alexander met in the garden under a canopy of stars. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of blooming magnolias. Their conversation flowed from the day's triumphs to fears of what lay ahead. "You've changed this place," Alexander said softly, taking her hand. "Not just policies, but hearts." Mia looked into his eyes, her own shining with determination. "And we're just getting started." In the weeks that followed, new training modules on compassionate communication were introduced, staff wellness programs expanded, and patient feedback channels enhanced. The hospital's culture shifted subtly but surely toward openness, empathy, and collaboration. At a staff forum, Mia shared a letter from a patient's family, a testament to the quiet impact of care. Reading it aloud, she felt the room hold its breath, united in gratitude and purpose. The hospital's annual fundraiser gala loomed a night blending elegance with mission. As Mia prepared, nerves mingled with pride. The evening would showcase the initiative's journey, its challenges, and its promise. The gala's highlight was a video montage capturing candid moments of care, a nurse comforting a frightened child, a tech patiently explaining a procedure, volunteers bringing light to weary faces, and of course, Mia's dance, joyful, spontaneous, and genuine. The audience was silent, moved by the raw humanity displayed. Applause followed, heartfelt and sustained. After the event, Mia and Alexander mingled with donors and leaders, their partnership a beacon of hope and change. Amidst the glamour, Mia remained grounded, knowing the real work thrived in hallways, patient rooms, and hearts. As the night wound down, they found themselves alone in the garden, the stars their silent witnesses. Every step, every dance, Mia whispered, is a promise to care, to change, to keep moving. Alexander smiled, holding her close. Together, we'll keep dancing. The hospital buzzed with a different kind of energy as the season shifted at Charleston Grace Medical Center. Mia Thompson walked the corridors with a quiet confidence, her presence a testament to the tireless work and passion that had transformed not only the institution but herself. The patient-centered care initiative was no longer just a program, it was a living, breathing movement, shaping every interaction and decision. In the staff lounge, conversations echoed with stories of resilience, compassion, and hope. Nurses, techs, and support staff shared experiences that transcended shifts and roles, binding them together in a shared mission. Tammy, ever the guiding light, watched with pride as Mia navigated the delicate balance of leadership and empathy. The hospital's boardroom had become a stage for a new kind of dialogue, one where data met humanity, and strategy was informed by the voices of those on the front lines. Alexander Cole, steadfast and visionary, continued to champion the initiative, bridging the worlds of finance and care with unwavering determination. One crisp morning, Mia prepared for the most significant meeting of her career, the presentation of the first comprehensive report from the patient care liaison. This report was more than numbers and statistics, it was the heartbeat of the hospital, captured through stories, feedback, and lived experiences. As she entered the boardroom, the weight of expectations settled on her shoulders, but beneath it lay a foundation built on months of trust and collaboration. The room was filled with board members, department heads, and key stakeholders, all eager to hear the voice that had often gone unheard. Mia began with a simple truth. Healthcare is not just about procedures and policies, it's about people. The patients we serve, the caregivers who dedicate their lives, and the communities we touch. Her report highlighted critical areas for improvement: communication gaps, emotional support deficiencies, and systemic bottlenecks backed by powerful narratives from patients and staff. She spoke with clarity and passion, weaving data and humanity into a compelling call to action. As she concluded, silence filled the room, a silence that spoke volumes. Then, applause broke out, tentative at first, then growing into a chorus of affirmation. The board's decision was unanimous: continued support, increased funding, and a commitment to embedding patient-centered care at every level. Outside the boardroom, Mia was met with smiles and congratulations, but she remained grounded, knowing the work was far from over. Tammy's words echoed in her mind: change is a journey, not a destination. In the days that followed, Mia organized a hospital-wide forum, inviting voices from every department and role. The forum became a space for honest dialogue, shared challenges, and collective problem-solving. It was a testament to the culture they had fostered, a culture of listening and learning. Alexander joined Mia in the family reflection room one evening, the space now a symbol of healing and connection. They spoke of the journey, the hurdles, and the hope that propelled them forward. "You've changed this hospital," Alexander said softly. "Not just its policies, but its soul." Mia smiled, her heart full. "And together, we'll keep nurturing it." Their partnership, both personal and professional, had weathered storms and blossomed into a force for transformation. They understood the delicate balance of love and leadership, ambition and compassion. As the hospital prepared for its next chapter, Mia stood at the threshold, ready to embrace new challenges, to listen deeper, and to lead with heart. She thought back to that first dance alone, unguarded, yet fearless, a symbol of resilience and joy amidst chaos. It was more than a moment. It was a promise that no voice would go unheard, no act of care unnoticed, and no heart unloved. As the story gently comes to a close, remember that every connection we make, no matter how unexpected, has the power to change us in ways we never imagined. Life isn't always perfect or easy, but it's filled with moments of kindness, courage, and hope that light our path. If today's story touched your heart, take a moment to like and subscribe to Stories TH so we can keep sharing these beautiful journeys together. And hey, don't be shy, drop a comment below with where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always wonderful to feel how connected we are, no matter the distance. Now, as you settle in, breathe softly and carry this gentle reminder with you. You are seen, you are valued, and your story matters.